And what is going on, everybody? So welcome to episode 2 of my Philadelphia Phillies talk. Let me fix the background on that. Sorry about that. But yeah, so for those who are new coming in, definitely smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you guys are new to the channel. And definitely make sure you have that notification bell turned on so you will not miss any new updates like these or podcast episodes, wherever the case may be. All my social media is linked down below in the description. So let's just kind of hop right into it. So as you can probably tell by the title, that is right for regular season expectations. Kind of go over a few things too. It's like, obviously with spring training games going underway. Obviously with the Phillies coming out with a win over the Toronto Blue Jays, so it kind of gets you thinking. Because obviously Schwarber and Castellanos will probably be down there. I think in the next couple of days. So which is really going to be interesting to see those two, along with just basically just see what they can do in a Phillies uniform. Obviously, both Schwarber and Castellanos were with the big splashes that the Philadelphia Phillies has made this free agency period since John Middleton didn't. He did say I didn't want to go over the luxury tax until the right opportunity. Like obviously, for example, last night I mentioned in my video about Phillies signing Nick Castellanos that that opportunity was right now, and that was I think what pushed them over the luxury tax. Do I think they're done? Absolutely not. But kind of go like, obviously I know a lot of teams are going to have a little bit of a head start before some other teams because obviously we don't start till April 8th. I'm going to kind of bring up the schedule for the Philadelphia Phillies. Get away, but. Yeah, so so far, I don't want to bore you guys with the spring training schedule and all that jazz. Let me get something back here. Oh, right. So I got to get that back there. But so far, obviously, so we do open the season up on Thursday, April 8th against the Oakland A's for a 3-game set from the 8th to the 10th. And then technically we have a 6-game homestand to start off the season, and then we are on the road for the next 6. So we got like basically almost like 12 total games in that time span. But when it comes to like the regular season expectations, especially with the additions like I mentioned before, the fact when we added Jeurys Familia, Brad Hand, Johan Camargo looked really good during the spring training. This first spring training game as a Philly. Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos. Those are guys. I think he's really going to. Some of them are going to make a difference. Obviously now, because with the expanded playoffs that the owners and the Players Association agreed upon. So it looks like the Phillies kind of set themselves up to try to at least make a push for the playoffs. Because let's be real, because we haven't seen the playoffs since 2011. It's been quite a while, to say the least. But it's just one of those things. It's like where, like, it kind of gets you thinking. Like how enough is enough. Because we've been suffering for the last 10 years. So kind of gets to some comments. Giordano, what's going on? What's good? But yeah, for those who are new coming in, definitely smash the like button if you're watching from Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or my Twitter. We are coming to you live from those platforms, but kind of let's go on the Philly schedule. Obviously, everything else because the Oakland, especially the Oakland A's series, because I know a few who are Oakland A's fans. Honestly, huge shout out to Raider Earn from the West Side Sports Radio and Jake Silva, the Snake Silva. Basically what the Oakland A's did this past off season, which was not good to say the least, but yeah. So here's the thing. It's just one of those things. It's like, it's just crazy to see, what this team is going to be looking like, especially, with some new faces in the organization. Kyle Schwarber, like I mentioned before, I do think there's going to be some more moves made, probably for the regular season, and hopefully something from before the hopefully probably get another few pieces at the trade deadline. So we're going to have to wait and see how that goes. But yeah, so it's just really crazy. It's pretty going to be interesting to see what this Phillies team is going to look like, especially now with the universal DH in place. The expanded postseason. Just kind of, and also new players are coming in, and it's just like this. It's just like it's interesting to see. But if anybody wants to pull up, you guys are more than welcome to come pull up, and we can just pretty much just talk Phillies baseball. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, because here's another thing too is it's like, I'm really hoping some, and there's some players that I think they're going to have a bounce back year. Aaron Knowles. Obviously, in his spring training start today, looked pretty good. Still got to work on. I mean, his fastball command was pretty good, but the problem was that he over relies on his fastball a little bit too much than we like to anticipate. It's just one of those things. Like it's kind of like a hard habit for him to break. But I think Noel's going to have a bounce back year. I think JT's going to have a good bounce back year. Same with Reese. Trying to think who else. I think Bryce Harper's still going to keep doing what he's doing. Probably can make another case, going being with the kind of player that he is, going to year 3 of his 13-year contract that we brought him in February of 2018 or 20. I think year 4. I might correct myself, but I think when it comes to the regular season, it is going to be a full 162 games because they also said they're going to make up some of the games that were missed. Because of the 99-day lockout, which is going to be good to see. I'll be honest to you guys. But yeah, it's just like, you don't really think about how this team, over the years have been mediocre, didn't want to spend any money, all this stuff, try to be very cheap. Until this free agency, as soon as the lockout was on, yeah, I mean, we did sign Corey Knebel and Johan Camargo before the lockout. Yeah, sure. But as soon as the lockout was going, there was nothing. No, I mean, it's not just us, but many the other 29 teams in the Major League Baseball, they couldn't do nothing. And obviously, when the lockout was over, we didn't want to, kind of start try at least striking free agency. I mean, the first move we ever made in free agency was picking up Jeurys Familia. In free agency, and then we've moved on to Brad Hand. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. Same with Jeurys Familia. Obviously we're bringing back. Unfortunately, I hate Odubel with a passion because it's like, it's just off the field stuff that it kind of really makes me hate him. Even just makes him hate him as a person. It's just how I don't know. It's just like. some of these players are going to. I'm really pretty sure are going to definitely have bounce back years, especially with JT. Now the thing with JT is it's like, and I think I kind of said this before. I think the last time I said something about this. He pretty much got slandered to no avail, to the point where it's like Phillies fans are kind of they're kind of it's 50-50 with the Philadelphia Phillies fan base. When it comes to certain players not living up to their expectations, especially in Real Muto's case. And it got to the point where I started shaking my head because it's like he dealt with he took two face foul balls up to the mask, kind of gave him a concussion. He had dealt with a broken thumb in spring training, which that was hard to really come back from. He had a shoulder impingement, which he tried to play through it, but it did show that it did hinder him pretty much. It just pretty much held him back, and a lot of people were kind of slandering him because of that. So look, and my thing is, it's I think players get hurt all the time, and I don't understand people don't really understand, because if you have not played a sport, unfortunately, I mean, you don't understand. Sometimes you can get hurt in sports; it happens. But and the thing is, same with Rhys Hoskins. I think he's going to have a better year. Just based on the fact that he's fully healthy. Especially going, obviously, it is still spring training. Like I said, April 8th is the start date of the Philadelphia Phillies 2022 regular season, which is going to be very fun to watch because obviously you got Schwarber going to be in the lineup. You're going to have Castellanos, you got Herrera / Verling, obviously, or Vierling, I should say. I apologize. Harper, Hoskins, Real Muto, Gene Segura. I think we're gonna have a decent 1 through 9 when it comes to our lineup. I think where Alec Boehm's going to stay in, if I was putting the lineup together, is I just put him in the 7th or the 8th spot in the batting order. At least try to surround him with some better hitters. And if we can try to do that, I think we should be just fine. It's just one of those things. It's how, it's just we're not just I mean, yeah, we've been, like I said, we've been mediocre since 2012. I think after 2012, that's when our mediocrity, like I mentioned on my morning show, that we've been mediocre since after 2012. And the fact that with Dombrowski now coming in and kind of making the changes, which kind of started where it started at the front office, and this is at the time where a lot of Phillies fans were very impatient. For me, I just waited to wait the patience run its course. So what Dombrowski did is kind of give a short of the timelines. He made some changes to the front office and the scouting department. Kind of start there, kind of bring in some fresh faces. What's going on, man? What's good with it? What's good, everybody? Yeah. So Dombrowski made some changes to the front office of the scouting department. Kind of tweak a few things here and there. And then brought back Bobby Dickerson from San Diego. And then actually before that, fired Joe Dillon, and I can't remember who the other guy's name was. I don't know, but they fired both Joe Dillon and their previous infield coach. I think just because of a lack of defensive runs saved and just a lack of a good infield. And obviously that started to bring in Kevin Long from Washington, who does have ties with Harper and at times has ties with Schwarber, which I think is really going to help. I think is really going to help some of the players in that lineup. Obviously Alec Boehm, which hopefully he's going to have a bounce back here after having to spend, finally having a full season under his belt. Obviously the 2020 shortened season, granted, yeah, it was a sample size, but we saw what Boehm is capable of, and then it's just okay, and then we see what he can do in a 162 game season. Yeah, at times he struggled mightily, But now having Bobby Dickerson and Kevin Long kind of really being there on that coaching staff, there should be no excuses to see why he's should be not really fixed, or should at least try to get better improve as a hitter, in my honest opinion, anyways. But yeah, if you got anybody else to pull up, let me kind of do something really quick. And control. Yeah, there is the link. So if you want to come pull up and talk Phillies baseball, you guys are more than welcome to. I'll gladly appreciate talk Phillies baseball with anybody on for this show. Let me. But yeah, I mean, it's just like crazy to see what this team can do, overall as a whole. But yeah, it's like, and I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts too. If you guys are still with me and watching in the comments in the chat, well, kind of I'm wanting to know what you guys' thoughts and expectations going into this upcoming regular season. Especially how what the Phillies are going to be accomplishing, try to see what they can accomplish with the, like how they want to. What's the one I'm looking for? Just lost the word, but kind of see how if they can, because obviously with the expanded postseason, like, do it and try to see if they can try to reach the playoffs, which that's something we want to see for the first time in over 10 years, which is going to be very interesting to really look at, just because of the fact that we haven't seen postseason baseball since 2011, and that's really bad enough as it is. So it's been going on for 11 straight years, and I kind of don't. And I think me and many Phillies fans we're kind of tired of it. I think we're very tired of having a postseason drought here. But then again, I mean, that's just how things are. But the fact of the matter is, okay. So I'll say this too. Do I want to see them win the division? Yes, but the problem that I have because the only thing that I have problems with as it stands, we definitely need a little bit more pitching, kind of tweak a few things, because I feel like the Braves right now are still probably the favorites to win the division, but I think what's going on with everything else, I mean, obviously they brought in Kenley Jansen to help with the bullpen, but and obviously, they obviously brought in Matt Olson in the offseason too at the same time. Yeah, I mean, we are underrated, but I feel like we still got a little bit more work to do. And I think the Mets, I don't know, but I think for me, when it comes to the Mets, they look, and this is why I think the Mets have a track record of being inconsistent at times. Like, I'll say this, like when they're going like the first half of the regular season, like last season, for example. Let's take last season for a perfect example. They were leading pretty much the division for most of the first half of the year. And then when you kind of going on to the second half, obviously and 90 win, maybe, but the problem that I have with the Mets is that they have a tendency to fall. It is going to be tough, though. It's going to come down to 3 teams, and that's the Phillies, the Braves, and the Mets. But it might come down to 2, because it's like the Mets, and from how I watched between my Phillies, the Mets, and looking at some of the box scores over the years, like they have a tendency to fall short, and at times have to battle injuries, especially with their pitching staff. Like with DeGrom, I have a lot of respect for, because I think he's still probably one of the greatest pitchers that what he's like able to accomplish. But the problem that I have with DeGrom is his health, and I said that I can say the same thing. Some of our pitchers too. It's like it's not and I just feel like when it comes to the Mets, that's not true. That's not true. Like I said, it's going to come down to 3 teams, and that's the Phillies, the Braves, and the Mets, because at least they actually made some decent moves. But going back to what I said about the Mets too, like, because like when DeGrom, not gonna. But if DeGrom, let's say he does go down with like some sort of injury, like that's they will have the highest payroll because I mean that is true. But for us, is how we finally actually broke the luxury tax threshold. So we actually kind of finally did the one thing that Middleton was promised not to do, or was said he didn't want to do. But and here we are, sitting with Familia. I mean, and Brad Ham. I think those guys are going to have bounce back years. Definitely with Kyle Schwarber helping with the DH spot. Have Castellanos in the outfield. Yeah, that is very true. I mean, it's just how things are set in stone. I think once Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos go down, gets down the spring training in the next couple of days, I'm really going to keep an eye on that. I'm really looking forward to see what those two can do. I think we still got more moves. Oh, that's what I said, and that's why. And I'll hold my hand up to this. I was very kind of answer that. Yeah, I've been very critical of him. But like I said, since we brought back Bobby Dickerson from the Padres, brought in Kevin Long from the Washington Nationals, who does, like I said, has ties to Harper and has ties to Kyle Schwarber. And it shows that at times, like, I think, like, it's just like, I don't know, maybe it's for me, I feel like it's just more like a mental thing with Bohm. We are a legitimate contender, but are we going to think we're going to win the division? For me, I don't really think so. I feel like we're kind of a few pieces short of being what we can be. But landing someone like Castellanos and Schwarber, both in the same free agency period, I think is really what's going to really help, really make this NL East a lot of fun division to watch. And, granted, the Western is more like the kind of the better ones to watch at the same time, but it's just kind of how, and this is why I think too, is like the Mets on paper, they have a lot of great talent, but the problem is, and this kind of applies to many different teams, the way you look at it. Like once a team has like great talent on paper, and let's actually take the Padres for example. Like they were great in the first half of the year of last season. Let's take that for example. But the second half, they just started that collapse. And obviously, my Phillies knocked them out of the wild card, but when we swept them in that 3-game set, and it kind of showed that at times, I think we all are. One more small, really, I say get like 2 more pieces, our bullpen arms, because obviously we do have Knable in our back end of the bullpen, so we're gonna have him as our closer. We got probably have Alvarado as our setup guy, and probably have, because if I want to do it this way with our bullpen, obviously having Knable as our closer for the time being, because I would like to see, because the one guy I think the Phillies should at least try to take a chance at, and that's in Craig Kimbrell, because I think if you can add like a Craig Kimbrell into that bullpen to kind of help out with some of that veteran leadership in there, I think we should be fine. I think because our bullpen's always been our Achilles heel for the last couple of years. Actually, not say a couple years, but say 3 to 4 years. That's always been an Achilles heel. I mean, try at least grab another outfielder if we can. That's kind of how I see things, but I really don't mind it though. I mean, I like how most of these teams did what they could, and it's just one of those things. Is like how you want to see stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy to see what we can do. And do I think we can do more? I believe so. Because I do think I think since we finally broke that luxury tax threshold, I believe there's going to be more moves to come. Do I think we get like another spring? My thing is it's just one of those things. It's like how you want to, because I know there's a lot of other free agent pitchers that are still on the market, but they're kind of like on the older side of things. Obviously, we know that Archie Bradley, who is one guy I thought I would like to keep, because I thought he looked good before that oblique injury. But unfortunately, the Angels, he went with the Angels for a 1 year deal. But yeah, I mean, I do think there's a lot of things that we can really take a look at when it comes to like some other free agents. Or, and if I'm John Middleton and Don Browski, I would try to look forward to see who we can deal at the trade deadline, and try to get, try to see if we can improve in that certain spots. Like for example, like when we traded Spencer Howard, who at one point I had high hopes on, but it's just like his potential started to go down and go down. He just had a hard time, staying healthy, and just couldn't stay on the field. So I mean, unfortunately, we traded him to the Rangers, and I think it's traded him a couple of prospects to the Rangers in exchange for prospect Hans Kraus, Kennedy, and Gibson. But Kennedy went back to Arizona on a 1-year deal, but we still got Kennedy for that is very true. I think a lot of the NL East is going to be very interesting to beat, because I think the Marlins, I feel like, got a little bit better. I think it's going to come down. I think 4 out of the 5 teams look like they've gotten better. That's the Phillies, the Mets, the Braves, and the Marlins. Marlins, I mean, they got a bright future ahead of them because of all how great their farm system is, not compared to ours, but it shows that this team's going to this division is going to be competitive. It's always been competitive the way that it has been for the last handful of years. Except for 2020, though. I mean, or is it? I can't remember what year, because I think we were like, because I remember the NL East was like one bad at one point in, I think one might have been 2020 though. But I digress though. I mean, it's like this team. I'm really excited. The fact that they finally made sense that it's time to go over the luxury tax threshold. I mean, even though me and many Phillies fans, we were screaming for Milton to go over the luxury tax, and finally, the fact that they finally listened after all this time, that's true, but I don't think we're done yet when it comes to picking up some players. I mean, we have some decent prospects coming in our farm system, but our farm system isn't the greatest by any stretch of the means. Like there's a couple ones that I really hope that I think they can get a chance in the big leagues, and that's one. Derek Hall is one of them, because I like what I can see out of him. And it's just like, that's true, but I don't know. It's just like it's one of those things. It's like, and let's be real. I mean, I haven't been, really excited for Phillies baseball the way that is how all season has been, because the last couple of years, it's like pretty much, because from what I've understood, his prime years would be from 27 to 32. From what I've understood from a couple, but the fact that even I think it either Nick's wife or his mom kind of started tweet, give him some subtle hints. Even Nick himself kind of, sent the Philadelphia Phillies fans or fan base in a frenzy, just because like when he sort of posted a picture on his Instagram with the Philadelphia in the circle in Philadelphia, which I've been there right next to the rock where the Rocky statue is at the art museum. It looked like I think most of us kind of just figured out that he made his choice, and now it's come to Philly. And I also said this too, like one of some morning show too. I kind of talked about this too, like the Chris Bryant signing, which I was all for it, but the fact that when he signed the Rockies, for me, didn't make sense because of just what's going over there in Colorado. But I'm really happy with the moves that we've made so far. I think there's going to be more coming in the next kind of, hopefully the next coming days. I mean, I don't mind the minor league signs. I mean, Johan Camargo, I think is going to be a very good, valuable asset to have, especially on our bench too. Because I feel like he was kind of like misused by the Atlanta Braves. And this is, and at times like, and I kind of criticize sometimes Phillies fans a little bit, because it's like when we signed Schwarber, Castellanos, it's like, and some of the Phillies fans are like, say, there are going to be some defensive issues. and I said this to him on my morning show too at this morning, that Schwarber is going to pretty much just going to be our primary DH. Yeah, Camargo is going to be a good death piece because when we lost Brad Miller to the damn Texas Rangers for we needed a bench because we need to strengthen up our bench because at that point, because obviously our bench has a couple question marks, like who's going to be in our bench to start the opening day to start off the year. I really hope Johan Camargo is going to be one of them, because I think I like what I saw, especially during his time with Atlanta. I thought he has some potential to be a decent player, and pretty much a decent death player at the same time. It's just like, this team, I feel like it's really starting to come together, finally getting themselves in the right direction. Now, the fact that, the fact that now Castellanos is now here, obviously he does have familiarity with Dombrowski, especially during his time with Detroit. I'm really looking forward to see what this. From what I've understood, I think he's getting better, but he's not going to be ready for opening day. So it looks like it's most likely going to be Noel getting the nod for that. But he will be ready for the regular season. I know that for certain. I know that for a fact, because I know. Yeah, granted, I know a lot of other teams are kind of getting ahead of, or start getting a little bit of ahead, because their opening day is the 7th, because we're open up on the 8th against the Oakland A's. Actually, might as well bring up that, kind of go and discuss the kind of discuss. I kind of did discuss a little bit too at times. I think Zach Wheeler is going to be fine. I think he should be fine, coming into. But I did also say I don't think I even did say it earlier that because a lot of people don't think there's 162 game season going to be played. It is going to be played a full 162, because some of the games that were missed because of the lockout, the first 2, I think it's the first 2 weeks of the year or the regular season, were canceled because of the lockout. But they're definitely going to make that up going forward. But yeah, it's just crazy to really see what this team can do. Kind of want to talk about some of their schedule, what we can expect especially from the scheduling standpoint. Give me 1 second, guys. Because obviously, like I said, we have a 6-game homestand, 3 against the Athletics, and 3 against the New York Mets, and then we're on the road for 6 games. Because I will be doing the one. I am doing Tuesday the 19th. Because there's another thing too. I'm also doing some live play-by-plays too with but just by myself on the channel, to kind of help out, or at least try to give you guys a little bit what to expect from more. But okay, let me kind of zoom in the schedule a little bit. First of all, we got the home opener on the 8th at 3:05 against the Oakland A's for a 3-game set from the 8th to the 10th. And then we're home, and obviously, like I said, we have a 6-game homestand against Oakland, and then against the Mets, and then we have a 6-game road trip, 4 against Miami, or I'm sorry, 7. I didn't see. Yeah, 7-game road trip, 4 against Miami, 3 against Colorado, and then we have an off day on the 21st. And when it comes to Miami, which I think that's the one team that's always has given us problems. For some odd reason, it was the weirdest thing, because it's but yeah, it's just one of those things. It's because it kind of frustrates me as a Phillies fan to see a team like the Marlins kind of being a pain in the side, basically. Just the way that kind of talent that they have. But after our all-day on the 21st, then we're back home for a 7-game homestand, 3 against Milwaukee and 4 against Colorado. And then we got 3 games against the Mets. 2 at the end of April. Okay. But yeah, it's just like one of those things. It's like you wanted to kind of take a look at. Okay, but going into May, and then after we have finished that 3-game set on the Mets, which Sunday is a primetime game on ESPN. Then we're off on Monday. Then we have Then we'll have a 6-game homestand on 2 against the Rangers and 3 against the Mets, or 4 against the Mets. Then we're on the road for 7 games, 3 against Seattle and 4 against the Dodgers. I am going to be calling 3 out of the 4 games that's on the schedule as it stands. It's just kind of how like this team. This team's got some good schedule. Is going to be playing some good teams. Probably. I think San Diego should not be that much of a problem going into 2022. Obviously with Bob Melvin now taking over for the fired Jace Tingler, which, and I said this too. Like, I don't know why teams are going for, for managers who have no experience. And you see these experience kind of just get left in the dust. But now we still see Buck Showalter finally get back into the league, managing the team again. But yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like you want to kind of don't really think about that much. Obviously with the 3-game set against, and then we're home for 6 games after our off day on the 16th, May 16th. We are home against San Diego for 3, and then basically we're home against 2 California teams for 6 games. Then we're away at Atlanta. And then for 3 away at 3 games, 4 against the Mets. And then obviously I think it's a 4-game set with the Giants. I'm sorry, 3-game set. And then we're home for 3 against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I feel like the Angels. I feel like we should not have a hard time taking that series. Because even though they did make some slight improvements to what they need, especially pitching wise, it's just like they're kind of just wasting away the prime of Mike Trout and the way that is going as it stands. But yeah. And then, obviously against Milwaukee for 3 games, and then home against Arizona. This is the one team I feel like we need to sweep, because obviously we got swept by them last season, and that was not the best thing to watch. Now I think, because obviously with the addition of Schwarber and Castellanos, and obviously with some of these other players that are getting fully healthy, I think we can actually beat some teams, especially bad teams, that we should not lose to. Yeah, for those who are new coming in, definitely smash the like button. Definitely hit the subscribe button. You guys are new to the channel, and definitely share the stream out too. Even like some baseball content, which is probably going to be more coming up. Other than the Arizona series from the 10th to the 12th, and then we got a 3-game series against Miami, and then we have technically a 3-game series, but the 17th it is a doubleheader, so they did reschedule it from April 4th, so that's going to be interesting to see. And then technically we have 3 games and a doubleheader from the 16th to the 19th. And then, it kind of goes on and on about how this team is going to go. But yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like, I just feel like, obviously with the expanded postseason, I feel like that's going to really help put most of us in a good chance, especially with the Phillies, on the other hand, in a good spot to finally end that playoff drought, so to speak. It's just one of those things. It's like you don't really think of. I mean. And take it from me, I've gone through this, lived through this a lot. Like me among other Philly fans too, because it's like it's been 11 years right now without making. That's what I'm saying. Will bounce back, because for me, I feel like it's more mental. It's like a mental game with him, because like, and I said this too, like if Nola can bounce back to what he was in 2017, 2018, hell, he was actually had a decent season in 2019. Like if he can have from 2017 to 2019, um, I think we should be fine. I mean, do I think he's still the ace to some degree? Yes and no, but I feel like the more of the ace belongs to Wheeler because I think Wheeler proved like who the true ace should be. You know, I mean, even though I like Robert Yeager said absolutely. Because obviously, when Noel having two subpar seasons, yeah, which I think that happens a lot. Some of these, players. And granted, he's been here for since 7 years now, and I kind of feel like he's still got some good stuff. Like I'll say that Nola does. I think even in the spring training game, yeah, despite the two solo home runs in the spring training game, he actually looked pretty solid. His control, his command was there. I mean, everything was there for him, and there are times he did make a couple of, like I said, those two mistakes were the two solo home runs in the spring game. Like I said, the Phillies did come out with a win over Toronto in the first spring training game of the year, which is well, technically their second one. Obviously they tied with the Tigers, which that's something that's I'll talk about that going up pretty much going up very soon. But it's just one of those things. It's like you like to, I'm really like everybody's saying in the chat. Like I think we're all excited to see what these teams are going to be capable of, coming opening day. Now, it's just now the issue that we still address at times. We could probably add a couple more bullpen arms. We could probably use another backup catcher, if we can look out for him. But I feel like Marchand's got to be the more ideal approach. But I do think you can see the strides that Marchand is really showing, as a big leaguer. For a guy who spent most of his career in the minors, not hitting a single professional home run, and the fact that he has, I think, 2 or 3 career professional home runs, it's like I think this kid can, and his arm is second to none. Like, I think obviously with the DH and all this stuff, like you could probably mix and match a lot of the lineups a little bit, especially in mix and match the DH depending on your matchups too, which is I think is really going to be really helpful for the Philadelphia Phillies going forward. Because, and another thing too is like when I saw that the quote unquote ghost runner rule, which was the extra inning rule when you started a man on second base when you start going to extra innings, when that finally got cut out of the new CBA, I think a lot of us baseball fans were literally happy because that rule was just boring to begin. It was unnecessary to begin with. But yeah, it's just like, Marchand looked like he's really taking some strides forward as a big leader. I mean, Noah looked pretty solid especially with his fastball command. I mean, he's still got a good changeup, good curveball. It's just, it's just how this team if they can put it together and find a way to overcome that hump that's kind of, holding the back a little bit. I think this team can definitely make a decent run at it. But do I think I mean, they could be somewhat of World Series contenders as it stands on paper, but I feel like we still got a lot more work to do in terms of, what else can we get out there, or because like I mentioned before, our farm system is not the best thing in the world, just because it's just how things. So that's a good question. So Ranger Suarez being a mystery, I just feel like sometimes with Ranger Suarez, I think he's going to improve what he did last year. Granted, it was a short, and what he did was as incredible to see. I do think Suarez can actually be a pretty good guy in the rotation, along with Nola, Wheeler, Eflin, and Gibson. But the problem, and I said this, I was talking to my colleague of my key in the building behind the scenes. Eflin kind of is like a question mark for me to some extent, to the point where his knee tendonitis, the fact that when he suffered knee tendonitis, which cut his season short, I think after 4 starts, 4 starts into the season, I think that's what at times that would hurt us because I think there was at times where we actually looked good when Nola and not Nola, but Eflin was on the mound. But when he suffered that knee tendonitis, I just feel like I feel like that kind of hurt a little bit. But if he can stay healthy, along with this, and and others, I mean, and Wheeler doing what he's doing, being that workhorse of a pitcher that we signed him to a 5-year contract in a couple of like 2 years ago, I believe. I think Rachel Suarez is really going to do something too. Yeah, what's good? What's good? What is good? What is going on? Well, yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like how Ranger. I really like what I saw, because like I said, because we didn't really have this really decent lefty since Cole Hamels back in 2015. Which I think something like Suarez kind of think can bring out the best in himself, because he may not throw these top velocities you see nowadays, but in the way Suarez goes about it is how how Suarez wants to work. I think this kid's got potential. He's got good stuff. It means it's just one of those things. It's like how you want to see, what you can really expect out of, Suarez. That's just how I see Suarez, but it's just one of those things. It's like how you want to take a look at it. But yeah. But before we go any further, I want to give a huge shout out to the 4 viewers in the chat. 3 are coming from YouTube. I appreciate you guys coming through on that. Definitely smash the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button with the notification bell turned on, so you would not miss these streams like these or my podcast episodes. I will be hosting tonight at 8:30, and then I have my late night show later on tonight as well. So stay tuned for that. There's a few other guys that I'm really liking too, I know Didi's going to have a bounce back here, but I'm really if he can find. And from what I've understood, and from what I saw, that the fact that he was dealing with some injury, like elbow inflammation, I can understand why a lot of people were kind of frustrated, because now that we found he was dealing with elbow inflammation, which and let's be, I kind of pretty sure that was kind of uncomfortable to play through. You can say the same thing with JT. Obviously taking a couple of baseballs off the mask, foul balls off the mask, kind of had to put him into concussion protocol. Obviously, with a broken thumb and then one of the past spring training, definitely, and having a shoulder, somewhat of a shoulder impingement, which kind of held him back a little bit to what Momentum was all about when we brought him in, when we traded for him. I think Hoskins is another guy. I think he's gonna continue to do what he's gonna do best, and just get on base. I mean, the fact just what Hoskins is capable of, even though for a power hitter that has a high walk rate. I mean, same with Harper too. It's just I feel like with what Hoskins has done, especially it looks like he's going to kind of improve his game as time goes on. Yeah, and I remember too, it's just as soon as he I think I told this to a few of my buddies of mine, because I think once Hoskins went down with that core injury, that's when everything went to hell in terms of when we lost the Braves series, because we didn't have because basically him and Harper were our two pretty much our run producers, and we had some other guys in between. Now, obviously, with having Schwarber and now Castellanos now in the lineup, obviously with the universal DH now in place, I do believe I think this team can put up some runs. You still got Gene Segura, who's still an on base machine, a consistent 300 hitter. I mean, there's a lot of things that I think might go right for the Philadelphia Phillies. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy to see what this team is capable of, and the fact that finally Milton got his head out of his ass, and finally, willing to spend over the luxury tax and get some guys. I mean, it's really good. You love to see it as a Phillies fan, but as a baseball, I mean, that from what I remember, known for a long time, it's just We have really not. That's the first time we've ever done that in franchise history when we went to spend over the luxury tax. But it's just it's just one of those things. It's like you know, and at times it doesn't matter if you're a Phillies fan, Flyers, Sixers, Eagles, you name it. There are times we are very impatient, and for me this year, I was like, I actually really, I mean, look, I'm not an impatient person myself, but I took a chance, on this year because I had a feeling, Dombrowski had something up going up his sleeve. The fact that we brought in, got Corey Knable before the lockout, I thought that was one of our biggest. I thought that was an amazing signing because when I had that video made about the kind of trades and free agent signing predictions, when Corey Knable was signed to the Phillies, and I look back on that video, I was like, damn. I had because Corey Knable was like the one guy that I wanted first than anything else. Kind of helped solidify the back end and start working, and then obviously with Johan Camargo, obviously on a minor league deal, but I do think Camargo can bring some good versatility in the infield. A pretty decent bat at the same time, so a pretty good bench piece to have. Hopefully we do need to start looking for more bench pieces at the same time too, but even though that's not our main priority as it stands, but just try to work on our bullpen a little bit, kind of tinker a little bit with it, add some more guys to it. Maybe grab a starting pitcher if one of them doesn't pan out at the trade deadline. We're gonna have to wait and see. I think this team's gonna really be interesting to really take a look at. Really like I said, take a look. They're really very interesting to take a look at. But the way that how I see this team on paper, I think we could be at least more than just a 90. I think I said give them like a 92 win team on paper. But and the reason why I say that because I don't think we're there just yet. Because there are times that and we look back over the years of the Phillies, like there are times when we won 100 plus games in our franchise history. And obviously, when we finished 500 a handful of times, from what I remember, this is something that I think what Dombrowski is doing, which I think there's going to be some more moves made. That's going to remain to be seen. But I do think what the Phillies are going to be basically what they're going to do, especially with the bullpen, because if we can fix that bullpen and get the right pieces, because I mean, obviously, Familia, and I know a lot of people had mixed same with Brad Hand too. Those are the guys I really have high hopes for them to bounce back. With Familia, I want to see him back when he was in his 2015, 2016 self. Because and you think about it this way, it's just like relievers nowadays. It's like how let's take Alvarado for example. Is like I like the guy, but he kind of is. It's very concerning. His location is questionable, but when he's on, like when his location is perfect and when he's on with his location, good luck trying to hit Alvarado. But at times, like times can be very erratic and shaky, and a lot of times said it can be the same set for Jerry's Familia, for a guy who's a sinker ball pitcher, but I think has great stuff to work with, especially coming out of that bullpen. It's just, if he does bounce back to what he was, I mean, look, overall in Familia's career, he only had 2 bad years. One of them was his rookie season back in 2012. But overall, the fact he has a career sub-4 ERA, throughout his entire career is, and look, and I think the best ERA you probably can set out is probably between 1 and 2. I know 3 is pretty much average. And I think for me, I feel like if you have like a average a little bit 4 or over, I think it's kind of like below average at times. But the fact of the matter is that that Familia has a career ERA under 4, kind of telling me he's still an average pitcher, but I think his stuff is elite to some extent for a guy who's 32. Brad Hand, I don't really, I know he's kind of been the thorn of our side at one point when he was with the Mets. I remember that very clearly. But I think I think for some odd reason, like when he went to the Nationals, like he just for some reason just got knocked around. I mean, I don't know what it is. I guess maybe a lot of coaches have like different philosophies, but with the Phillies, I mean, obviously, we got Caleb Cotham, who Vandy Boy, used to play for the Vanderbilt Commodores. I think I forgot where he played. I mean, obviously was with the Reds during his playing days. The fact that he's our pitching coach, I think he can really hopefully try to at least bring out the best. And what Brad Hand, we signed Brad Hand and Juris Familia to both 1 year $6 million deals. And the fact of the matter is too, like finally we got some outfield help to some extent. The only thing we still got to need to work on is center field. I really hope we could try to at least do that in the trade deadline, or hopefully, because I don't think there's that much decent outfielders out on the market. Not that I've seen, anyways. It's just one of those things. It's like how you want to, kind of really want to bring in, hopefully try to at least bring in a center fielder that's better. Because and there are times it's like I didn't really like the Phillies bringing back Herrera because I like what I saw out of Matt Vierling. Like I said, yes, some of his numbers is probably not the realistic, but even though it was a short sample size of what this kid can do, and it's just how you want to see a guy like him kind of succeed, want to succeed in the leagues. I thought he's pretty decent defensively, so I think he could be someone to probably not want to move, but if there's a better option out there, then so be it. I mean, you got to take that shot. Now, since Dombrowski made the move to bring in Schwarber for less than $20 million a year for 4 years, and then you have Castellanos for 5 years for $100 million. We're only paying him $20 million a year. And the fact, and I just mentioned too, like the fact we have two guys combined for 9 years, I think $150 million. Had 50 plus million, and you had Chris Bryant, who signed with the Rockies on a 7-year deal worth $182 million, which, like I said, it doesn't make sense to the normal baseball fan. I don't know. I kind of just feel like how this team is really coming together. Do I think they're going to probably win the division? Probably not. I think at best we are a wild card team. But I think with this expanded postseason, I do think we can finally get to see playoff baseball again in the city of Philadelphia for the first time in over 10 years. And then the fact we're bringing, and then the fact that our scouting department has gotten better a little bit, and especially in the developmental area of our farm system, because obviously thanks to Howie Kendrick, Charlie Manuel, and the others. I think that's really what's going to help this team, and definitely help our farm system out too. Because actually, with the regular season, what I'm expecting out of this regular season before we wrap up, for the next couple of minutes is that, and I think because and at times I feel like this team, I feel like because I think this should not like fall below expectations, but I think if we can go on the same pace that and try to beat some of the teams that we lost to last season, I think we should be okay. Because I feel like losing to Arizona and getting swept by Arizona, losing 2 out of 3 to Pittsburgh, I feel like it kind of hurt us a little bit in a way that that kind of, even though that did start our 8-game winning streak at the time, and this was going back to last year as well. And then when the Braves series came and when Hoskins went down with the core injury, that's when everything kind of started to fall apart. Because I feel like Hoskins is one of those guys that is like it's kind of somewhat like the glue that kind of holds this lineup together. It's just like, how I would like to see this team really kind of I want this team to succeed. I think me and like many Phillies fans want this team to succeed to the point where, it's just how this team at times they have underperformed the last couple of years. Even though there are times where they finish above 500, but they still underperformed, that's kind of how I see this team really looking at this, in ways that the, players at times, and a lot of people think we'll probably spend like weird narratives, like, or like they're trying to like call for some coaches' heads or something like that. But in reality, sometimes, you can also take some of the blame on, or take the anger out on the front office at times, no matter what team you're a fan of. But when it comes to like the Philadelphia, like I mentioned before, we are very impatient. But like me, like many of others that I know or who love the Phillies, we've been patient our patience has finally paid off. Because I think when we brought in Dombrowski after Klentak stepped down and all that went down, I had a good feeling about Dombrowski. I know, even though it was going to take time to kind of understand where he wants to go with this organization. It's just how now the fact that I think this is what year 2 or year 3 under Dombrowski, and the fact that he pulled off some great moves, though. I can't ally with the kind of moves that we made. Bringing Johan Camargo on a minor league deal, even though that's really not that big of importance, but it's probably going to be important for our bench. I mean, bringing in Corey Knable definitely can help out our back into the bullpen. This team is finally getting healthy, which we've been battling, and that's the kind of thing that we've kind of had to, like us and many other teams had to deal with, was battling the injuries. Obviously, Hoskins dealing with being out the entire year with a core injury. JT had sporadic times where he was injured, to go through the concussion protocol. A broken thumb during the spring training, which that kept him out for, I think, 6 to 8 weeks. And then you had a shoulder impingement, which for those who actually watch some of JT's tape when he's fully healthy, like he's come as advertised as the best catcher in baseball. A lot of people sometimes will disagree, and I'm pretty sure that's pretty much White Sox fans because since they have like the Grandal. And don't get me wrong, Grandal is good, but he's not better than JT when healthy. It's just that's just how I see what this team's going to be capable of, and the fact that they're all looking great. They're looking great. They're feeling great. Some of them who dealt with injuries are finally getting healthy, which is you really love to see that out of this team. But yeah, I think this team is going to see this team really try to succeed in the National League East going forward. But I do think if we can have a better personnel to draft better, I think this really was going to help. We'll hopefully try to replenish our farm system, because I'll say this before this is my final thoughts on the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm looking forward to see what this team is really capable of, because this lineup 1 through 9, except for the 8s, I think we have a handful of guys in that lineup can hit at least 40 plus home runs. That's Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, and Hoskins. Hoskins has the potential to hit 40 plus home runs. I mean, this team it's like if we could put up enough runs, it's just how you want to take a look at how this team really wants to perform. And yeah, I mean, it's absolutely true. But I think I kind of want to get the guys' thoughts before we wrap up. If you're still guys are still in the chat, you could probably ask me if you kind of want to. You guys can open up to a little bit of a Q&A on this team. Probably like the next couple of minutes, if you guys want to ask me some questions, I'll be gladly to answer your questions at the same time. Oh, geez. But yeah, it's just like this team is really fun. It's going to be very fun to watch. There are some teams that are going to give us a test, and one of them is going to be the Dodgers. We all know that the Dodgers are going to give us a test. We all know that the Dodgers have a better lineup than I know we do, because they have a full. The only exception is that Cody Bellinger is probably the easiest out on that Dodgers lineup. But for us, I just feel like at times, like our easiest out is probably Alec Boehm. But from what I've been seeing, it looks like he's actually looking. He's kind of it looks like he's improving quickly than last year in the ways that, since he's already entering his second full season in the major leagues. Because I think over time we had a track record of not having the great third baseman, except for Mike Schmidt back in the 80s. That's probably one of our best third basemen of all time. But I want to kind of get your guys' thoughts on what this Phillies team can do. If you what other moves do you like to see what the Phillies want to do? If you have any questions in the chat, definitely ask away. I'll gladly open up to some Q&A session before we wrap it up today. But yeah, huge shout out to the 4 viewers watching the stream. If you guys are new to the channel, definitely smash that like button, hit that subscribe button if you guys are new, and make sure you have that notification bell turned on so you guys will not miss any content like this out, especially when now with baseball being back, back in the full swing of things. But yeah, but absolutely. So let's see. But yeah, man, it's just crazy to see what this team can do. Hey, huge shout out to the 3 viewers watching this, or who are watching the stream right now, 2 from YouTube. I do greatly appreciate you guys coming through on these streams, even though some of my solo streams most of the time. But like I said, you guys can check me out again in about an hour. At 8:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 p.m. on the West Coast. If you're watching from the West Coast, for my Sports Talk podcast, episode 27. Because we got a lot to talk about, especially with the MLB free agency, and kind of touch on some, NFL topics too. But yeah, I do appreciate for those who stuck around in the chat. Definitely a huge shout out to all y'all guys coming through. Make sure to leave a like on the stream. Definitely hit the subscribe button with the bell icon turned on. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed what you saw tonight. With that being said, this is Robert from the Phillies Sports Talk podcast. I'll see you guys in the next episode.